We often hear Jesus use parables to illustrate spiritual truths. Today we'll delve into the depths of one such parable, found in Luke chapter 18, verses 9 to 14. In this parable, Jesus introduces us to two distinct characters, a Pharisee and a tax collector. The Pharisee, known for his extreme religiosity, represents those who trust in their own righteousness. On the other hand, the tax collector, often perceived as sinful and deceitful, stands as a symbol for those who acknowledge their own shortcomings. These two characters, with their contrasting roles and reputations, set the stage for a profound spiritual truth. So without further ado, let's dive into the parable to uncover its profound message. In the parable, the Pharisee stands and prays, expressing gratitude for not being like other men. His prayer exudes self-righteousness, a sense of superiority. He thanks God that he is not a robber, unjust, an adulterer, or even like the tax collector. But who is he truly praying to? A closer look reveals he is praying more to himself than to God. His prayer is a reflection of his own pride and a judgmental attitude towards others. He looks down on the tax collector, dismissing him as unworthy. He believes he is righteous not because of God's grace, but because of his own actions. In stark contrast, let's look at the tax collector's approach. Unlike the Pharisee, the tax collector stands afar off, deeply aware of his shortcomings. He doesn't strut up to the front, flaunting his righteousness. Instead, he remains at a distance, weighed down by the heavy realization of his own failings. His prayer is simple, yet it's brimming with sincerity. He doesn't list his good deeds or make comparisons with others. Instead, he acknowledges his imperfections and pleads for mercy. He says, "God, be merciful to me, a sinner." There's a raw honesty in his words, an admission of guilt that's both humbling and brave. It's a heartfelt plea that resonates with authenticity and humility, a prayer that's a far cry from the Pharisee's self-righteous monologue. Now let's see how Jesus concludes this parable. Jesus ends the parable with a powerful statement about humility and grace. He tells us that it was the tax collector who acknowledged his sins and begged for mercy, who went home justified before God, not the Pharisee who boasted about his own righteousness. This is a profound lesson about salvation by grace. Salvation doesn't come from our own deeds or perceived purity. It is not about who we are, what we've done, or how religious we appear to be. Instead, it's about God's infinite mercy, his unearned love for us. No matter how good our deeds may be, they will never be good enough that a holy God could accept us. So let's get real honest and receive God's grace for free.